What's going on, guys? Tobin here with you. Thanks for checking us on out. Much appreciated. If you missed any of today's show, had a lot of fun celebrating the Miami Heat victory. You guys can check that on out at WQAM's YouTube page. I will put the link in the description. I appreciate all you guys' support. If you guys could go subscribe there, I'd really appreciate that. I think you'll have fun the entire ride. Myself, Leroy. You guys can check us on out live every single weekday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. as the Miami Heat have a 3-1 lead right now on the New York Knicks. And I started off the show today very angry. I'm still very angry about what ESPN and particularly Mike Greenberg, but it's just it's an umbrella theme with that entire network and what they tried to do to the Miami Heat and getting a 3-1 series lead. So if you guys aren't familiar with what was said, this was Mike Greenberg today on Jet Up. Although today I guess it was New York Knick Up. It was a take that was said by Jalen Rose, where Jalen Rose had said that, humidity is a factor, that the Miami Heat have to, that the New York Knicks have to adjust to the weather in South Florida. This is what Jalen Rose had to say.
Was 9, that's been a difference. And also, to you guys' point, Jimmy Butler, the best player for the Miami Heat, got off to a really good start. And Max Strus as well. We talk so much about the nightlife and joke about it in Miami, but also, as a role, when you're the road team, you got to pay attention to that weather and that heat because it causes your muscles to have a little it affects the endurance of your muscles and causes tiredness. So if you notice, the Knicks in particular are making shots in the paint, but they're missing shots outside of the paint, in particular from three. Clearly, South Beach is your favorite.
Okay, so that was said, I believe it was halftime of Game 3. So I was going to let this slide from Jalen Rose. All right, mentioned it on the show. I'm not going to get too crazy about it, but I was in a really good mood driving to work today as the Heat, set themselves up to close this puppy out in 5. Thank you, Josh Hart, for steamrolling Jimmy Butler's ankle to get a little game in there for you guys. Hope it does wonders for you. And then, got to thank the refs earlier. So Josh Hart must be thrilled. But Mike Greenberg gets on his show today, and he doubles down on this mother bleeping Jalen Rose take, and almost to like a worse degree.
Particularly from Jalen, was how hard it is to go down to Miami and play this time of year. And I know people will immediately associate that with the nightlife and all that. But according to Jalen, there's more than that. There's also just the reality of the temperature change, the heat, the geography, being down there for 3 days. It sort of saps a little bit of your energy and your strength. We talk about that primarily in football. I know this is an indoor sport, but I mean, the Knicks, whatever it is, Jimmy Butler is just has just destroyed.
I don't even understand why it comes out, because it's almost like when Greeny says it, he realizes how dumb it sounds. But the fact that you are bringing up this lack of intelligence on your big platform, one of your flagship shows on ESPN, the network is now basically two faces, Stephen A. Smith and Mike Greenberg. It's more Greeny and Stephen A. than you know what to do with. And to get on there and say, one of the reasons, or one thing that needs to be pointed out, is the New York Knicks have to be used to the weather. Jalen Rose said so. And I'm thinking to myself, like, hold on. The Miami Heat have the best player in the playoffs in Jimmy Butler. He has slayed Giannis Antetokounmpo in 5 games, and the Bucks in 5 games. The Bucks fired their coach because of what the Miami Heat did to him. Somehow, the national media up there in Bristol, who loves the Knicks, obsessed with Northeast sports, if it's Knicks, Celtics, Boston, New York, they're all over it. Somehow, this guy thought that after watching, I put that loosely, what the Heat did in the first round, then get in a series with the New York Knicks, who had a nice performance against the Cavaliers. They out-rebounded them. Good for them, dude. He thinks the lack of performance, he genuinely was listening to Jalen Rose and thought to himself, you got something there. And I'm flummoxed by this. This pissed me off this year when ESPN and the Bills fans and everybody did this when the Dolphins beat the Bills down here. As if the Bills weren't steamrolling the Dolphins for the last 4 years. Now, all of a sudden, the reason the Dolphins beat the Bills was because of the sun. That pissed me off, but at least it's an outdoor sport. At least, okay, I know people are physically wilting under the heat here. To even give this any type of airtime, credibility, or coverage is so stupid and so aggravating as a Miami fan. And it only seems to happen with this team in this city. Because whenever it's a Miami thing and there's a positive story, they don't cover the team down here. They don't give the team any credit. They don't give them any coverage. They trumpet the same heat culture, supposed good coach, Jimmy is he underrated, all things that are true but wildly undercovered by them. And the straws they're grasping at here is just so discouraging to think that, man, you have this story here of an 8 seed getting a chance to go to a conference finals. 2 wins away from Jimmy Butler. 1 win away, from Jimmy Butler making his 3rd conference finals with the Miami Heat. When everybody said he was coming down here to retire. And they have the audacity on multiple shows, on multiple slots in this series, to give the Miami Heat the reason they're winning, to give any type of reason for that being it's hot in South Florida. It's hot outside of the Kaseya Center where they actually play basketball. And I may say, as a person who's been boots on the ground there, many a games this year is quite cold. It is very frigid in there. You know, sometimes I dread having to go with those short sleeves. That Kaseya Center air conditioner is no joke. It's unreal, dude, how frustrating this is to see this. And it's like when it was 2020, they called the Miami Heat bubble frauds. When it was 2021 and the Miami Heat had the best record all year, and Bam talked about this. He pissed off. Doesn't get any Defensive Player of the Year recognition. Don't get any All-Star recognition. The Heat were a 1 seed. They had 1 All-Star. One. It was Jimmy Butler didn't even want to go. And all those accolades that typically come with being the 1 seed that the Kings have gotten this year, or top 3 seeds, the Kings have gotten this year, the Nuggets have gotten this year, the Celtics, whomever. All that stuff that comes with it, which I agree. Like the Heat, should they have gotten awards this year? Probably not. They didn't have a good regular season. But when it was their turn, they didn't get any of that stuff. They gave stuff to Marcus Smart because they were good since February. They just decided to change the cutoff line because Boston. And the Heat, they weren't even called real contenders last year, even though they were a shot away from the NBA Finals. They called them dangerous loomers. Okay? And then this year comes around. Okay, I understand people not having a lot of faith in the Heat, not like I did, and I picked them to beat the Milwaukee Bucks. Go check the tape. Fine. But then you saw it happen. You saw what they did to the Milwaukee Bucks, and you still just had to hold on to your boyhood hope that they could beat the New York Knicks. And they very clearly, after 4 games of this series, are leaps and bounds better than this New York Knicks team. Leaps and bounds. And this jackass wants to come on here and say, well, it's because it's hot in South Florida. Like, the playoffs aren't here the same time of year at all times. Like the Boston Celtics didn't win games down here in the playoffs last year multiple times. It's like logic like that. It's like he doesn't even know how South Florida has a hockey team that exists. Like, I don't understand. How do they play hockey? How does it work? And just the themes stay the same, dude. It's the same bullshit that we hear constantly. You guys don't deserve this fan. I saw this crap spewing around, these Knicks fans. Oh, the Heat Arena, it's not even that great an atmosphere. Let me tell you something, dude. I've been watching this series, and I've been watching a lot of Heat Knicks, okay? Going back regular seasons. I'm going to tell you something right now, dude. For a guy who's been there for every Knicks game that the Heat have been in here, down here, there's a lot of blue jerseys. It's been church mice quiet, okay, dude? And I'll tell you another thing. The Let's Go Heat chants in the Mecca, the so-called Mecca, that tourist trap, a lot louder than any Let's Go Knicks chants that were going on down here. You ride or dies, you hacks, you frauds. So, no, keep talking about the arena and the atmosphere like it hasn't been on fire. Like Jimmy's 56-point game wasn't one of the best atmospheres you've ever seen or been to, like multiple people have said. So, I just thought this today from Green was garbage, but it's just typically in line with them. They do the same thing when Jim Larinaga gets the team to the Final Four. Oh, is NIL ruining the sport? Miami, ooh. The first time that NIL became a thing, what did we get? Covers on ESPN and Sports Illustrated with dollar signs on Hurricane jerseys. We already know all the crap they spew about Tua nonstop. Every other quarterback, it's not a thing. But when it's Tua, fifth-year option, do they have faith? Do they not have faith? Well, how come they fifth-year option? How come they haven't extended him? And it's ridiculous, man. And it's getting frustrating, I think, for, the South Florida sports fan. I think that's why you guys, are looking for other outlets, and I get it. But, man, even still, that's the stuff that's up on a sports bar. That's the stuff that's at an airport. You're looking at that, and you're like, wow. Are the Knicks really affected by the humidity? It's frustrating, dude. This goes back years, man. This goes back to Big Three era, where it's like, that fan base doesn't deserve to have a team this great. All right, well, who does? And so the Knicks fan does. That's who deserves it. You guys deserve it. It's just like those Toronto Maple Leafs fans. You guys don't deserve this. Why do you guys deserve it? What have you done? It just drives me nuts, man. Piss me off. Piss me off to see that today. Give some damn credit. You want to know what the weather is? You want to know what's melting the New York Knicks? Jimmy Buckets. That's who's melting the New York Knicks right now. Jimmy Buckets is what's doing that. He is the sun. He's the sun and he's the eclipse. Just erasing guys at the rim, scoring at will, doing what he wants. Drew Holiday and Josh Hart are going to have to go on a retreat after this just to talk about what Jimmy Butler did to them this playoffs. Maybe talk about that, not the forecast.